Alexey, you're from Odessa's Classical Music Festival and Rūta from Lithuania, from Vilnius. But tell me, first of all, something a little bit about your connection and why you feel that it's important now to connect your two festivals.
I think it's a very interesting background of our cooperation, which started in 2020.
Yes.
It was inspired by a big friend of Odessa Classics Festival and Alexey Botvinov, a young Lithuanian composer and conductor, Gediminas Gelgotas, who was already admired by the Odessa Classics Festival audiences. He's the founder of the New Ideas Chamber Orchestra, the orchestra that performs mainly music by Gediminas Gelgotas and minimalist composers. In a theatrical way, all the music is played by heart, and I know it's done such a long-lasting impression on the audiences in Odessa that the idea of Alexey and Gediminas was to invite Lithuanian National Symphony Orchestra for the special program in Odessa Philharmonic Hall, and it really instigated fantastic cooperation, which was exchanged with Alexey as a pianist, and then the festival's cooperation. And we were already talking about our second visit to Odessa, the first ever visit of the guest symphony orchestra.
It was
in Odessa
it was the first ever visit of a big national symphony orchestra of European land, not only in Odessa, in Ukraine.
In Ukraine.
So, and we managed it, by the way, without state funding, just with our sponsors and philanthropists. And it was huge impact, huge success.
And Alexey, one might think that Odessa, as a major European city, has had a classical music festival for a long time, but that's not true, is it?
So it's we initiated, me and my wife, in 2015. But idea came much before. But when I applied to government, local government, government in Kiev, they always thought later, not now. It's too expensive. And in 2014, when Russia started invasion, when they annexed Crimea and part of Donbass, I realized that it will be just silly to ask for money now because country in danger. But I really I was sure that this festival will fly if it will happen. And we started it just on private basis with some friends and sponsors, and then already in third year it became really big and important and known in Europe.
And we're recording this in the middle of war time, and the war has impacted Odessa considerably. Are you still able to operate, or have you had to postpone things?
Not postpone, just to move, unfortunately. So now we're doing, because Odessa Classics festival was meant to make coordination between European top artists and Odessa and Ukrainian cultural life. And in this situation like now, it's impossible to invite top artists or orchestras, unfortunately. That's why we decided to doing last year and this year editions in exile. So we did it in Vilnius, but also in Tallinn, in Bonn, in Thessaloniki, in Zurich and Warsaw. So it's 6 countries, but very special thing. It's our connections with Vilnius, really.
And are you taking Ukrainian artists to those places, or are you linking with the festivals that are already going on in those places?
No, it's really Odessa Classics in Vilnius, or Odessa Classics. Of course, we cooperate with local artists, but also I'm involved very much because I'm a pianist, and also with artists who was already performing in Odessa. So, like in our cases, it's National Orchestra of Lithuania, and Gediminas Gelgotas and Nico ensembles. They were already once or even twice in Odessa, and I was also like soloist, and we created something interesting.
And young Ukrainian violinists.
Yeah, also, of course, yeah, we also always try to involve somehow young, very talented Ukrainian artists, and we have really many of them. And in this case, it was young violinist.
And Rūta, how did you get involved in the process of hosting Odessa Classics?
While still in Odessa, we were so inspired with the city, with the cultural and musical legacy of the city, because we know since decades that Odessa was one of the major musical hub of the best violin teachers, the best opera singers, great pedagogues. Also the mother and mother-in-law of Alexey himself, they are still teaching in the Odessa Conservatory.
Even now,
even in the wartime. Yes, and so we knew this huge pride of the city with its musical life, and we immediately decided that this should be long-lasting cooperation. And of course, the reaction of the audience to what our young musicians from Lithuania presented, there were even elderly people that were so fascinated. They said, we never heard anything like that, and we thought that we must help Odessa Classics and Odessa City to really to take care of its musical legacy and not just leave it to vanish, to disappear.
Yeah, and last year I invited Nico and Gediminas Golgotas to Thessaloniki and to Bonn, and this year in Tallinn. So I'm trying also from my side to do most possible for flourish this cooperation, what I'm sure have huge potential.
And I would like to also add that Alexey and all the artists that visited Odessa Classics Festival, they are involved in the great campaign of charity concerts, and they have fundraised really huge money for Ukraine, helping Ukraine. The one again with the Lithuanian artist, and Gidon Kremer was in Taormina in Italy.
Yes, it was big open air charity concert. We gathered quite amount.
Yes.
Also in Vilnius, both concerts last year, we managed to gather a lot of money for Ukraine.
Now, of course, the whole relationship between Lithuania and Ukraine is fascinating because, of course, a few centuries ago, Lithuania was 3 times the size, if not 4 times the size, and itself occupied most of what is now Ukraine. Is there still a sense of connection between the two, between Lithuania and Ukraine? Is there a sense of brotherhood there already?
Absolutely, I would say, Russian propaganda trying to say before invasion that we are brothers, let's go together, but it was a lie. But I can say that now really we all Ukrainians feel that Lithuania is our brothers. I feel it every time when I visited this country. It's enormous, amazing support. These people feels this war like their own war. It's really unbelievable and unforgettable. I think it will stay forever like this. We will be really very close.
Alexey, let's just talk for a moment about your piano playing, because that's how the whole thing comes about. What is your own repertoire? What's your own favourite repertoire? What do you most enjoy playing?
Okay, many things, but maybe two very special things. It's Bach, especially Goldberg variations. I was honored and happy to play this piece more than 300 times live, I think, like nobody in the world. And I will do it in Vilnius Festival in this June. It will be my 324th time. Yeah, so Bach Connections is very special. Also Sergei Rachmaninov. It was my first competition, and music of Rachmaninov also stays in my life very,
and of
very,
course
very
it's
strong.
his 150th anniversary this year,
this
isn't
year.
it? So a lot of Rachmaninoff around.
Yeah, but for me it was all my life really. These two composers, like really, they are very, very different. It's like opposite, but somehow I feel like at home with both of this music worlds.
Do you prefer playing the preludes or the concertos?
both. It's very hard to say, really, yeah. And concertos, especially 3, 2, yeah, and of course preludes and everything. Now I'm doing a lot of arrangements, transcriptions from songs, from street food to pianos, etc. So it's never enough.